big guitar.
And down over here in the bottom left-hand side of the map, we have the blue Protoss player representing good old Wardy TV. He is Rail. Wow, these are long riffs.
Yeah, we got new long riffs. It seems that's kind of fun. So
yeah, eventually, those riffs will just take so long that the cyber cores will finish by the time those intros are done, and then we'll actually be able to talk about the build orders.
Yeah, that's actually kind of perfect in a way. But yeah, Ravi, it's so cool that you bring up what you were bringing up about Rail, because I feel like you can really see how well a player is gonna do based on how much practice and how much effort and how much work they put in. And it's not instant, so I think that's exactly what you were describing, but we are seeing it now, kind of the rise of a player that has been putting a lot of work and doing a lot of work over time. He's also, I think, had a lot of growing to do personally. I'm not sure if that's a fair thing to say, but he went by other names. He went by Verdi before, right? Rail is Verdi?
Yeah, and he comes in, sees the follow-up here for Rail, which is the Dark Shrine. So Drogo probably going to feel good about how these openings panned out.
Yeah, at least Rail will catch wind of the base. Drogo does sacrifice 2 Adepts for 3 probes. One thing that I love that Rail did, though, he didn't even try to shade in the Adepts earlier. He just hit them in the corner, knowing that his pylon would be spotted. Because, you know, like Drogo knows that there have been warpins happening, so there's a pylon around. The pylon's gonna get found, and the Adepts are already tucked away in the corner. So at some point, it's like Rail has, like, you know, 2 Adepts that are already ready to go out on the map, and I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there have been so many times, Gats, that we see a player that is really far behind or starting to fall behind in a matchup. Maybe one of the engagements doesn't go so well, and then 2 Adepts sneak in and kill 14 workers, and the game just feels like it's starting to turn around really quickly.
Yeah, 2 Adepts can kill workers so very fast, and you really can't underestimate them. However, they will be found, and they will be blinked on at the same time.
Awkward. Yeah, because now Rail's going to be coming in from on the main arm. He catches all the sentries, force fields out a lot of the stalkers over here. Now remember, the reinforcements should be warping it over here for Drogo in a second, and it looks like with the shield battery overcharged, Drogo's going to have quite a bit over here.
Yeah, it's close, but it looks like Drogo's going to be able to push Rail away just ever so barely. Really nice force fields on the side of Rail, trying to make something happen. At the same time, he has taking his own third, and it is finished. So if we look at the aftermath,
being finished and +2 weapons getting started now before Rail started his own +1 weapons. There's going to be a period of time where Drogo will have +2 weapons and Rail will be on +0. On top of that, the big gateway flood just finished up over here for Drogo, and he's moving out with it. Those 4 gateways he added on for this pressure are all going to be ready to warp in with that Warp Prism.
Yeah, absolutely beautiful. It's like you're pointing out, it's a symphony for Drogo here, right? Like as things finish, as his plan kind of converges into what it's forming to be, he moves out, he knows how to apply the pressure and kind of take advantage of what he's doing. He's gonna blink in right away, get rid of the shield battery. This is a very difficult position to try and get rid of if you are Rail.
Yeah, Drogo trying to kind of cut off his units the right way to hit both an Astral while keeping his Immortalized. Okay, well that's a really nice time buying mechanism over here for Rail, but unfortunately 1 or 2 DTs is just not going to be able to do damage fast enough, I feel like, to actually force Drogo back. Drogo's just doing so much damage before the DTs can start killing everything.
Yeah, very good blink back by Rail to try and protect his mineral line and his cannon. Ultimately, these DTs are doing what they can, but like you said, one at a time has been the warpins for these DTs, and it's just not nearly enough to mitigate the damage here. Rail already falling too far behind. He's gonna decide that's too much.
You know, Paulo, there are a subsection of players that get a little bit like minorly annoyed or perturbed when you say Rye instead of Razor Edge Gaming, because they're like, oh, what do you think this is, some kind of bread? But specifically with Drogo, I always laugh at that because you know, like you always talk about the French bread and everything, the baguette for the French players. And then rye, it's just, you got rye bread. It's actually like, it's against the French player mantra of baguette.
I guess that is in a way, yeah, the opposite of perfect. Then rye bread is kind of like the opposite. Is that, would you say that's the yang to baguette's yin?
That's a great question, Paulo. I actually don't know what the opposite of a baguette is. I guess like the baguette is just supposed to be something like a really long bread, right? So I
An
guess something
inverse
short and
baguette
stubby.
would be something like, I think it would be like maybe the same dimensions, but the crust would be inside, and the filling would be spilling out.
Oh, yeah, I could see something like that. Crust inside and the filling is spilling out.
Yeah,
I'm trying to think of
that would be
something
an
like
inverse.
that.
I
I guess
think
it'd be
black
like a
holes are
donut
kinda
if you
like that.
shaved. It's like a donut or like a bagel if you shaved off the outer edge. You took off the crust on the outer edge of the donut, or a bagel, I mean. Attacks to kill a Zergling. If you get +1 weapons, it takes 2 attacks now. So that's what we consider like a damage breakpoint. It's a point where the number of attacks to kill something gets reduced. And a lot of Protoss units have like very sudden damage breakpoint changes when you get +2 weapons with like Immortals and Stalkers and that kind of stuff. So it just has happened to work out that it makes a big difference for a lot of units.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, I mean the +2 attack, the attack in general for Proto seems really strong. A lot of the units have high enough damage that they get double the damage from attack upgrades. So that also probably plays into those damage breakpoints that you've so eloquently described, Ravi. It seems like Rail is just gonna be going for extra Immortals here, whereas Drogo is gonna be going for the upgrades. And you know, like it really makes me think: is there nothing that you can do to punish Drogo's opening? Because it looks so very greedy, right? It was two Stalkers, then 2 Sentries, and then going into a Forge for upgrades, and you know all of this as soon as you could possibly know it, but he still doesn't go for anything.
Yeah, I'm not sure if there's a specific build that you could do after having scouted that was going to be the case with like where Rail was opening up with like a single sentry and everything himself. I'm actually not too sure. You probably have to ask the Karsim or Roddy or something about that. But I do think that the way that Rail has played this out, he absolutely has to do something soon, right? You were talking about how he was going and investing into the earlier Immortals and everything. I think this is going to be his attempt to try and punish it. And you can kind of see the timing of it. He has a good read on what Drogo has been going for. He's hitting, while +2 weapons is still in production, charge is not finished up. You can see Drogo's actually starting up a lot of skill batteries right now, and gonna just try and delay this push as long as possible.
Yeah, but that's all the sentry energy he had as well. The charge slots are gonna really help on the side of Drogo once the charge is completed, though all of this army of Rail does not deal well with charge slots. That's a lot of force field spent just for a unit or 2. Nice counter run by Drogo. Good eye on our observer now there to catch that, but is this gonna be enough though? It looks like Rail still has a lot. Drogo overcharging the battery that's furthest away as well. It doesn't seem to matter for the moment. Rail is pushing on forward and Drogo's conceding space.
Yeah, that Prism getting involved was a big deal, but it's gonna actually get sniped off over here. No, he's trying to finish it, and he finally finishes it, but he's lost so much in the process. Those Immortals staying alive made such a world of difference, and Rail breaks through, ties.
Push, and it worked out wonders, so love to see it.
Absolutely. Well, guys, we're going to be starting down here in the bottom left-hand side of the map, top of the red Protoss player from Razor Edge Gaming. It is PtitDrogo. Oh, man. I feel like I'm listening to 90s music.
I'm curious to see what music will be spawned out of this man. It is the blue Protoss player for Team Wardy. It is Rail. Oh, it's the same one. It's just like the band just kept going.
It's a mirror matchup.
That is true.
Well, keep your eyes on those cameras, guys, because I feel like Drogo is always fun to watch because I feel like he always plays around a little bit with the cameras, especially like at the end of a series. I feel like it's always like the game 3 or the end of the game 2 or something. To kind of play a little bit. He loves playing tricks with the audience or doing something on camera at the end, so.
Indeed. Now, Drogo did take a little bit of an earlier gas, but he's not going to be quicker than Rail to populate it. So, yeah, I think this is pretty much just mirror again. Slight deviant, they're not exactly mirrored, but they pretty much mirrored.
Yeah. gonna simple.
The shield battery, when it gets placed, you just one-shot it because it doesn't have enough HP to, to survive. But now what Rail is doing is just kind of walling off completely. There's no way those adepts get into his main.
Oh,
or natural.
This is such a sick response. Yeah, exactly. Like, this is very, very clearly Drogo thinking about, all right, I'm making a bunch of adepts, not only for the 6 adepts to move across the map, but he might even go for Resident Glaze potentially here. But as soon as you shade forward and you're like, wait, why did my adepts go to the right? Why aren't they going up the ramp? You see that, you're like, okay, yeah, throw down the Robo Bay. You can try and knock this down, but eventually, actually, a couple of these adepts are just going to get picked off now.
Yeah, the gateway will be made on the high ground though, so yeah, Rail is very, very ready for this still.
Wow,
okay,
he's doing a lot of damage.
Yeah, that is a decent bit of damage on the side of Drogo. I'm not sure if it's enough. I mean, he's definitely ahead in probes, but he's gonna lose his entire army for it, so I'm not sure if Rail can try and take advantage of that. Maybe move out right away and try to punish back.
You know what, Paulo, I'm gonna say I think Drogo's probably pretty happy about this. Just think about it. Rail is investing into a robotics bay right now, right? So he's done that. He's sitting on 3 gateways and has, yes, 5 stalkers, but it's actually not that large of an army. It's not like he can immediately go across the map. And every second that goes by, he is just falling further behind because of his economy. It's going to take a while for his tech to actually pay off. I actually really, really like Drogo's position now. I think that was a great attack.
Yeah, you're very right about that. With the tech investment, it's not like Rail can do anything really to capitalize on it. I might have preferred to see maybe even a Disruptor at this point in time.
Me too.
The Colossus is kind of like just consistent damage output, but the Disruptor can actually turn things around. And yeah, you're completely right. That's a great assessment, Ravi, because with the Robo and the Robotics Bay investment, it's not like he can really just pile on the pressure and try to punch back anytime soon.
Yeah, no, I agree with you though. Like, if he had like a bunch more gateways, or like he wasn't just going for the fast tech up, I think there maybe was an opportunity for him. With those situations, like you said, you sacrifice your entire army. That's like the danger for the adept players. My entire army just got sacrificed to do economic damage. Now I have to survive against a counterattack, but there's just not that much fear of it. And I think at least a Disruptor, I agree, like a Disruptor maybe can do a bit more, especially when you're just behind. But a Colossus, man, Cats, I feel like I've seen this so many times in PvP. Every single time a player goes for Colossus, I'm like, okay, I know you can do this in PvP. I've seen it work, but I've never seen it work when a player is behind. I've only seen it work when a player is even or ahead.
Yeah, it's really pretty cool. It's the Zealots chasing those Stalkers into the main. The Stalkers blinking away, but down to the low, I guess that's the southeast of the map.
Yeah,
and then in doing that, it allows for Rail to think that he has a chance to intercept the Stalker. So he moves out with the rest of his army, which is already kind of hefty, with that one Colossus to try and intercept the Stalkers. But Drogo was going with his army to defend the Stalkers, which makes for such an awkward position because they kind of catch each other in places that they don't expect each other to be. And then Drogo thinks, I have an opportunity to snipe the Colossus, but that miscalculation of thinking that he could snipe the Colossus with 2 shots and Rail's actually saving it is what turns the entire fight around. And now Rail with a commanding lead.
No, I completely agree with that assessment. And it was like 2 Stalkers, 2 extra Stalkers would have made the difference on being able to snipe off that Colossus or not. So it was a very, very close call there. Drogo does at least have his +2 weapons upgrade advantage, and he is going for that Dark Shrine. Also starting up a proxy pylon, potentially get a slow warping of those DTs across the map, but before he worries about that, he's gonna have to worry about this army that's at his front door that's very ready to cancel that 3rd base. I don't even think Rail has to come in up there. He's got a 3rd base. He can just kill this 3rd of Drogo and back off if he really wants to.
Yeah, and he's doing so elegantly, just splitting out the Zealots and keeping the rest of his army here at the front of Drogo, where he can actually just force field and use those Stalkers at range to pick off anything that goes down that ramp. So very, very well done by Rail from this point on. It looks like he's just looking to retain control of the game.
And 3 observers are actually out right now for Rail. I'm not sure where all of them are. I know there's definitely some with the army. There's all 3 with the army right now. He's going to need to potentially recall those back because the 1 photon cannon, not enough to deal with those DTs. There's the recall coming on out with a decent chunk of the army. He leaves 1 observer with his army, though. That's so important. manages to take out a couple of those DTs, and I think the rest of his bases should be safe now that he's dealt with the Archon, and he has enough to still prevent Drogo from moving down.
Yeah, this is still a great position for Rail. I'm surprised Drogo didn't manage to at least split one of those DTs at the very end there when the recall started happening.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, he's in such a difficult position. I love what Drogo's doing, taking a base, a hidden base essentially, right? He can't really walk down and take a normal base, so he's going for the Hail Mary here. He's saying, okay, I'll pretend to be on 2 base forever. If you attack into me, then maybe I can stabilize, and if you don't find my base, maybe I can stabilize.
Yeah, it's definitely a tough spot for Drogo to figure out where do you go from here. And I do like, and I was going to say, like, I'm glad that he's taking a hidden base, and I also am glad that he's going to Robo Bay, because let's be real, Paulo, if there is, not just in PvP, if there is a comeback unit in StarCraft 2, it's the Disruptor, right? That is the unit you can build dreams off of.
Yeah, most certainly. One Disruptor shot can pay for the Disruptor tenfold, so it's really... Especially when you have units that clump up like these Zealots, right? A good Disruptor shot will kind of reset a fight to where you can actually win it. That is unfortunate for Drogo.
Yeah, Hallucinating Phoenix scouting it around. Good, actually, I have to compliment Rail on just having the onus to say, like, okay, why is Drogo still in this game? Why does he still have hope? Because I need to crush said hope. And so he scouts around, finds the hidden base, crushes a bit more of that hope. Drogo's going to try and reestablish his old 3rd base location. But yeah, that first Disruptor is not even started yet. The second Robo is actually just now finishing up. So he's maybe going to have 2 Disruptors out if he starts them up immediately in time for a fight. But it's going to be very close. It depends on when Rail decides, yeah, I'm ready to move.
Yeah, it really comes down to that. I mean, Rail, I'm not sure what he's gonna have to do to fall back behind in this game. He is adding those Disruptors as well, a second robotics facility on his end. I wouldn't mind seeing a 4th sometime soon, but he is kind of just preoccupied defending the bases that he has because he knows he has such a hefty lead, right? So he's adding like 3 cannons per base.
Yeah, I think that's gonna be plenty to deal with any DT run-bys and everything, but 2 Disruptors are out over here for Drogo. He's starting up 2 more, and hey, the longer that he takes, the more ammunition Drogo's actually going to have. So Rail needs to really start thinking about, how do I actually make this attack move in sooner rather than later? He's going to use his own Disruptor to zone back Drogo. He's knocked down the rocks to open up the pathway, but good Disruptor hit.
Yeah, that's a good start, but the Observer is going to make it harder, increasingly harder now with it being gone, for Drogo to land these shots. And I love what Rail is doing, breaking these rocks. He really wants to make the area larger because he has more army, and it is going through those chokes in a clumped up form that could potentially lose him, or at least reset the game to where Drogo is within reach. As it stands, this is a lot for Rail. This is a big Disruptor shot, but the Blink will avoid it, and now Rail just seems to have way too much. A Disruptor will land on the 2 Colossus in the back, but that's just not nearly enough.